Shane Johnson, the star or one of the stars of the hit show Power. Thank you for joining me. Have you ever been here to Austin?
I have not. I've never even been to Texas.
You have to change that. The weather in Austin, I won't say all of Texas, but the weather in Austin is amazing. You have to come here.
I hear great things. Half of Los Angeles is moving there, so.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother conversation in itself. But Shane, I've already started watching the first episode of Power. Your character, or rather Power Book 2, and your character, Cooper Saxe, has gone from a agent to a shady agent, and now you're just a shady lawyer. How has that affected your everyday life, just being the bad character in this show?
Well, personally, it's interesting. Early on in Power, it took me a while. I was kind of new to social media. You have to remember, this is 2013 when we filmed this, when we started. So that was for me kind of the beginning. I maybe was on Twitter. I had an Instagram account, but I wasn't really into it. And so that's become such a tool and such a thing, and people have so much access to us. They can communicate directly to us like instantly. And so having people be like, I hope you die. If I see you, I'm gonna punch you in the face. All those sorts of things. Early on, I was like, wait, what is this? Like, it took me a few years to kind of go, oh, I get it. This is just engagement, and people are enjoying the show and relating to the cast, and it's a sign that we're doing our job. And so now I'm at the point where I relish it. I love it. Like, if I get hate thrown at me, it just means that I did something right. And so, my teacher, my mentor forever, Richard Lawson, who you may know, he's incredible, but he said, look, condemnation and acclamation are two sides of the same coin, So whether it's negative or positive, and 50 Cent, by the way, feels the same way. Look, if it's press, it's press.
We all know how he feels about if it's negative press, it's press. We all know how 50 feels.
Hey, if people are talking, you even see him. He'll talk about one show and how it's better than the other show, or this show's climbing up on this show's back, or whatever. He takes his own products and he's like, let's make them fight and see what happens. So.
Because press is press. But so what can we expect from Cooper this year? What's his goal in this season?
Well, I think the thing that's interesting about Cooper Saxe this year is that he finds himself, first of all, after 7 years of being a dog with a bone when it comes to the St. Patrick's, doing anything he could to take them down. Now he finds himself in a position where he's defending them. So that's very interesting. Also, we've found that Cooper Saxe has kind of got a little bit of some romance thing happening. And so he's got his heart involved potentially in a way that which makes him vulnerable and makes him question things a little bit more than he used to. When you're single and you're just out there doing your thing, it's things don't stick to you as much. And now and we've also been introduced to his family, with his niece and his brother and his parents. Like, so that all those other layers of Cooper Saxe have really complicated the waters for me. And what I'll say is this is kind of my go-to thing, because I think it's really true for a lot of the characters, is what are you willing to do to get what you really want in life? And then, most importantly, are you willing to live with the consequences that you for the actions in order to get it?
It seems like Cooper Saxe doesn't have any limits to where he'll go to get what he wants.
Well, the thing is it's interesting, because a lot of people think that Cooper Saxe was always so shady, and the truth is he was always kind of a jerk. He was always a jerk and arrogant and entitled and all those sorts of things, for sure. But he was by the book for 4 seasons. For 4 seasons. He never broke the law. He was by the book. He was a good lawyer. He was determined, but he was by the book. He was frustrated by, Angela and by other people in the office, and he wanted their jobs and all that, but he was by the book. And then I started kind of going, all right, justice isn't working. And so I'm going to need to help it along a little bit. And if that means I have to plant a little evidence or whatever. So then I started getting a little shadier. And now it's kind of like, I feel like he's moved from being a good lawyer to being a little bit shady to now, hey, by any means necessary.
Yes. And I find that interesting that you said he's kind of backing Tariq and Tasha, but you guys are kind of playing both sides there, you and Method Man. And how is it too with you guys working together? Because y'all are going to be in a lot of scenes this season, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Well, you're right. It's definitely internally for Cooper Saxe, being in a position where he's being asked to defend a St. Patrick is mind blowing. Like the last place he would want to find himself. But I was faced with the decision of, do I go work with my family and, go off, basically admit defeat and go be a lawyer for some family hedge fund or something and hate my life, but make plenty of money and all that, but hate my life, or take a risk and see where this thing with Davis McLean leads. Now, to your other question, working with Method Man is the best. He's a great human. He's funny. He's vibrant. He brings so much to not just the scenes that we do as an actor and the chemistry I think that we have, I think is awesome. But he also is like that on set. Whenever he shows up on set, it actually almost makes me mad because I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do that because he shows up and he just elevates the energy in the room, and you can see the crew and just kind of brighten when he's around. He just is so full of life. It's hard not to like. I don't know if you've met him, but it's hard not to like him.
You guys have great chemistry. You guys have great chemistry on camera.
Yeah, he's the real deal.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And so now that people kind of look at you and they go, oh, there goes Cooper Saxe. Are you anything like him at all in real life?
Well, I'll say this. I think the thing that I have brought to Cooper Saxe, which I don't know if this was really designed this way or not, but it's funny because when you get cast in something and then time progresses, they start to write towards you because they know you. It's like, oh, this is how she would say it. This is what she would do in this situation. So I think that there's a degree of what I bring to the table and what the writers dream up. And what I like that I feel like I've brought quite a bit of to Cooper Saxe is humor and a sort of snarky humor, snide comments, and I feel like that's something that is very me. The funny thing is like I'm not. I mean, you'd think that I was this privileged, came from a well-to-do family, highly educated guy, but I grew up in a trailer in a little tiny farm town. So Shane did. And so, getting, and if you met my family, you'd be like, oh, and my family's awesome, but we're not like, they're nothing like the family I have on the show. You know what I mean? So, so I would say the one thing that we kind of have in common is probably the sense of humor.
Okay, that's cool. And so you said you grew up in a small farm town. Any advice for people who are trying to get to the top of their whatever industry that they're in? Any advice for those people?
Yeah, artists, people that have an artistic mind, by nature, we're dreamers and we have big, crazy, wild ideas, and we love creating things and we love dreaming up what the next thing is going to be. And it's easy to get passionate and excited about something and to start something. where we fall down is that the other side of our mind, which is the business mind, tends to suffer, and it's not exciting and it's not fun. And so instead of doing the business, we just create something and then it goes on a shelf. And then we create something else and it goes on a shelf. And then we don't know how to monetize it. We don't know how to promote it. We don't know how to do something with it. And then they end up leaving town or going and doing something else that's more practical. The truth is there's room enough for all the artists out there. There's room for all of us. But you have to put on your business hat and figure out what business you're in. If you're a painter, figure out that market. How do you get into galleries? How do you hook up with other artists that are traveling around with the show or something like that? You know, find a way to. If you're an actor, are you in a place where you can be seen? Do you have the materials and the kind of stuff to promote yourself? Are you around people that believe in you? Here's probably the most important thing: is having a good support system. Like people that you go home to at night that are like, what you're doing is incredible, and I believe in you. Whatever you need from me, I got you. I got you. Whatever you need. And if you have people that are like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Come on. Why don't you be more like your brother or more like your sister? Or do something practical. Those people need to be handled. They need to be handled. And it's hard to do, but you got to just get them to see that what you're doing is practical. Because a lot of people will be like, Shane, what are you doing? You're from this little farm town. Nobody comes from this town and becomes an actor. Who does that? I do that because honestly, I had really supportive parents, and they were like, we don't know what you're doing, but go ahead. You know, my dad's an electrician. They were like, go do your thing, and we're behind you. Go for it. I don't know what Shane's doing. He's out of his mind, but they supported me, you know. So I think the support system is by and large the most important thing for artists because it is not an easy road, and it's hard for us to wrap our mind around, you know, the business, and it's hard to sometimes develop the artist that you are. It takes time, and you have to be patient. If artists could be patient, they would all be successful. Most people come out here to LA or New York and they give it a year or two and they're like, well, that's my time, and they go and they they throw in the towel, you know. I've been at this. This is gonna blow your mind right now. I've been at this for 20 no 31 years.
Wow.
I've been acting for 31 years.
And how long would you say it took you to get to the level that you're at right now?
Well, my first professional job, like paying job, was in 1996. And so whatever the math is on that, we're going on what, 25 years? 25 years. And listen, when I first got to LA, this is the truth. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I know that we're going over time, but if you have a minute, I have a minute.
Yeah, I have time.
So when I first got to town, coming from where I come from, I thought that I was gonna come out here and just kill it right away. I was like, I'm talented, I'm handsome, I got everything going for me, I've studied, and then I showed up here and I was like, oh my gosh, I go to auditions and there would be 100 guys. They were better looking than I am, had better representation than I did, and knew what they seemed to know what they were doing. And so early on, it was like the only thing I had going for me is that I was really well trained, and I would like to think that I was a good actor, and that was what kind of got me going early on. But the other things, like I thought I was going to show up and beat Brad Pitt, and they were like, "No, dude, you're not Brad Pitt. Take it easy." And that's true for a lot of people. You know, a lot of people show up and they have an idea about themselves, and then they have to get real about their casting and who they are. And you know, I got into this for comedy. I thought I was going to be a comedian. I thought I was going to be, you know, like Kevin Hart or something. And And I would show up in rooms and people go like, no, 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 no. This is who you are. And at first you're kind of at the mercy to a degree, you're at the mercy of the casting community, unless you're making your own stuff. If you're making your own stuff, do whatever you want. But so it took me probably 10 years of of getting and win and doing great, and then having a year where I couldn't get arrested, and then oh, you get a couple wins, a couple guest spots, do a couple TV shows here and there, and you're like, all right, things are going great, and then 6 months go by and nothing happens. And if I could, I can't even count how many times I've done a project and I thought this is the one. When people see this, I'm going to the top because this is incredible. Nothing, you know.
So
And
patience,
so
patience,
patience
in the support system is very important.
and know your craft.
Yeah.
Study. A lot of people think, oh, I can be handsome or pretty and just show up and people are going to cast me because look at me. And there's some truth to that, but in reality, the people that have long careers and that really make it and can be proud of their work, I think are the people that study their craft and have a story to tell and take pride, real pride in their work. I've been studying with the same guy for 23 years. I always study, and he's a working actor, and so it helps to just keep your nose to the grindstone and not. And here's the other thing: you can't worry about what somebody else's path. You can't look at somebody else who's in your business and go, why does she get all this? Why is she that? You know what I mean? You have to just be like, hey, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Run your race for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. What can we expect from this season of Power Book 2? What can we expect?
Here's what I think's unique about this season. Not that this hasn't happened in other seasons, but I think we've taken it to a new level. Everybody is running their own race, and everybody is really after something. From Davis to Braden to Tariq to the new Detective Whitman to Carrie to Zeke to all the Tejadas. All the Tejadas they each have their own little thing that they're after. You know what I mean? And so everybody is after something, and I think that not everybody's going to be able to get what they want in this particular season. Things are going to crash and burn, and people have fallen down rabbit holes, and people find allies that they weren't expecting to find, and enemies that they weren't expecting to find, and betrayals, and like I said earlier, it's like, what are you willing to do to get what you want, and are you willing to suffer the consequences? And that's not just true for Cooper Saxe; it's true kind of across the board.
It really is. Okay, so where can people watch the show, and when can they watch the show?
Well, first of all, I would suggest getting the Starz app and watching at midnight on Saturdays as soon as it's available, because that way, yeah, because otherwise, you know how it is now. People talk, and people will do a meme, or people will throw up a little, and then you'll be like, dang it, I haven't seen it yet. So it's nice to be one of the first people to see it. But it airs, I believe, at 9 o'clock on Sundays on Starz, and then they continue to air it like crazy, afterwards. But the Starz app is definitely the best way to watch it.
All right. Well, Shane Johnson, thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I appreciate it.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.